what certifies the word Africa as a fountainhead for identity for African Americans? I'm not so sure that the words here are, in fact, clear in the minds of the listeners. And primarily, the primary reason for that is that I believe that Africa means is a certain geographical area for most Americans and Muslims included. And that is that Africa is synonymous with Black Africa, so-called. And I am totally against that. Africa is a landmass, which is the second largest continent in the world. I do not associate, and when I'm tempted to do so, I fight against association of the word Africa with black. The word Africa seems to be a Greek word, yes, a Greek word which meant at some point people who lived in a sunny area, etc. But what's important, I won't go through my paper on that topic, but what's important here is that the word Africa was first applied to an area in Tunisia, which is in North Africa, and it was derived from the name of a Berber group in Tunisia. And that suffices to say that someone did some nasty things on the way down to the latter part of the 20th century. And I'm not prepared, as I said before, to look at Africa as other than that continent. And I teach North and West African history as well as introductory African history, and I go from the Cape to Cairo. And from the Horn to Senegal, and that's Africa for me. And it does not have anything to do with complexion. Another problem I might mention here is that too often Westerners have color perceptions or use color terminology to, in fact, describe more than color. And that's a problem for me also, especially just having finished a manuscript on color, beauty, and ethnicity. It's a problem for me. It's a real problem for me. And if you think that I keep repeating this, I mean, it's a real problem. And I think that some people ought to do something about it. And it would be nice if it would come from Muslims. And I don't care what color the Muslims are, and I don't care what area they come from. I sat here looking at this yellow. You know, the word aswad in Arabic, which is generally translated as black, which simply means really dark, this to some Arabic speakers was aswad. كانت الصفرة كانت الصفرة تندرج في السواد. Yellowness was classified as sawad, which means blackness or darkness. All right? Water is considered in Arabic by some Arabic speakers as aswad or sawad. I would call your attention to something else. In my part, or the area in which I live, I don't think I really have a part of this country, but in the area in which I live, I see people who are called African Americans, who could be in several societies and would never be known as African Americans. And yet, I sometimes wonder, genetically or whatever, how much African is there in you, whether that African comes from Tunisia or from Cape Town. The point I'm trying to make is that color does not mean that a person is necessarily of African descent. My colleague and friend down there, Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui, knows that his country, India, has people in it, millions of them, who are darker than many African Americans. And why aren't they called black? And why aren't they called Africans? Why? Because you mean something else when you use these terms. That's why. And I think that, as someone said, I mean, I'm a social historian, and someone said that historians don't like to use terms when they no longer describe the phenomena. And I think that we could be sort of modern day, or perhaps end of century innovators like some of our colleagues in the Afrocentric movement. We need to start defining terms and opposing the misuse of terms.
Discover today's Muslim American on the Muslim News Magazine television network. This revolutionary new channel offers award-winning films and documentaries like 8 Centuries of Muslims in America.
What was it like being married?
Well, in the early days.
Experience the culture and history of Muslims in America like never before. Muslim News Magazine is designed for America's fast-changing Muslim community. Catch exclusive content and original series like Raising Islam in America, streamed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Log on to www.muslimnewsmagazine.tv and discover today's Muslim American.